Hi and welcome to another session from Blender Insight. This time it will be about displacement in Blender 2.8. About displacement, it's both very simple and complex in the same time. What it is just movement of the vertices in one or several directions. So it's not a copy, it's not something else, it's just a movement of the object's different pixels or vertices that you have. To show you how it works, I need to do a few things. First of all, I need to change it from Eve to cycles. I need to change the feature set to experimental. I could change to GPU to get it a little bit faster. And I also need a modifier to my object. So in this case it will be subdivision surface, and in the subdivision surface I now have adaptive, so I put that in. I press simple here. You will not see so much changes here right now, but you will see soon. Okay, so the displacement in 2.8 have a blue dot here. That means that it's a vector displacement. It works in all three dimensions. But we start with a simple type of displacement, and that is if I press now Shift A and go to vector and select displacement, this one here. This works a little bit like the one in 2.79. It has a gray thing here, and that is the place where you put your texture or your pattern to make it work. The mid-level, it's to move your object up and down because it will be affected of the pattern here, and that will make it move. So you can, by set it to 0, since it's plain, move it up to where the original placement is. Then you have the scale of your pattern here. How it works is really simple. You just need some type of texture. It could be an image or something else like a Voronoi here, and it's just for you to then connect it to the height here, and then you have a displacement like this. And now it's like upside down, and you can change that in different ways. One way is just to press Shift A and add math to it, so converter and math, put it in here, multiply with -1, and then you convert it here. Now you can see that it has moved down a bit here, and then you can just move it a little bit with mid-level, and since it just goes down and not up, you can put in like -1 here and maybe make it go up, even if you normally can't take it to a negative value here. You can manually write in something, so manual 0.5 or something, minus 0.5, like this, could take it up a bit. So basically this is how it works. And scale, as I said, you can change it. So if I put it to 2, it will affect this a lot more. And if I put it like to 0.5, it will affect it a little bit less here. And you can of course do as you normally do with textures, combine everything here. So it's no problem to put in like 2 or 3, so like a Musgrave into this one, and then just do some math between them like this. This is just an example. You can do exactly what you'd want to put in, like multiply and I don't know, change some scales and whatever. And when you do that, it can take some time for Blender to recalculate everything, but you will see that it says rendering done when it's finished here with the type of displacement that you have done here. Displacement here only have object space and word space, and they work about the same way, which means that the vertices you're working with can either move up or they can move down. In fact, they don't move just up and down here. They work, I don't know the word in English, but it works right against normal, so to say. So if the normal is here, the vertices will move up and down here. But if we change this into like a sphere instead, UV sphere, like that, we add this modifier, subdivision, press in adaptive, and in this case also go to the material we used. Then you can see that it's going on all direction from the normal and outside. So it's just going from the center and out on this one. So if you just want to put in this, I can take away the masquerade here. And I know that some of you saw my really nice flower. Then it's just to use this one, and I can change the distance and so on. And in 2.8 you have different types here. You have distance, Manhattan, Chebyshev, Minkowski, and you also have different things here where it jumps 1 or 2 steps. So to make this a little bit more interesting, you can just change this to, like, I don't know, like second closest or third closest, something like that. And suddenly you have something that resembles the flower I did on the internet. But it's very simple. It's just following the normal. It sends the vertices up and down from the normal. And that is all this displacement can do, really. So what do we have in 2.8 that is new? Well, what we have is something that is called a vector displacement. So if I press Shift A, go to Vector, and select Vector Displacement, now you can see that it's almost similar to this one. I also have object space here, and the only thing that differs between these are that you don't have a normal input like you have here, but you have a yellow thing here called vector instead of height. And if you now try to take away the displacement here, put in the vector displacement, put that in here, and now take the texture from Voronoi and put that here, it will look awful. And that is because vector displacement works in a completely different way. Here we have object space and we have tangent space. These two works quite different, but the principle is the same. The reason that we have this like a yellow thing here is that vector displacement work with an image that is converting the channels R, G, B, red, green, blue, into coordinates. So let's show you a little bit how that works. We take away the sphere here, and we now add my plane again. And since I add a plane, I also need to add a new subdivision surface, put in adaptive, and now I have my plane here again. Let's add the material to it, and now let's play a bit. As I said before, we work with images. If I work with object space, that is easiest to explain. Object space is like the coordinates right as it is. So if I have red, that is like x-axis. If I have green, that is like y-axis. And if I have a blue, then it's up and down, z-axis. So that is translated right like that. And let me show you. So if I press Shift A here, I take an image texture like this. I put it in, and I put an input like this, and I also use generator in this case. Not much happened, but you can see it's floating up here somewhere. Now I would like to add an image to this to change this. And as I said, when we're working with object space, a blue color means that it's moving up and down. So we start with just adding a blue color here to change it and to show you how it works. So I go into GIMP. Right now I have just a black image, so I don't use any color at all. But if I use a blue color, so I go to blue here and I add blue and I do like this. I know that it's 100% blue. Press OK and I just put it like this and then export it. Then I can have it here, open, and here we have it. And now you can see it's going up like this, exactly as I did it here. I can of course change it so that I have a softer way of taking it up, like I go to like this, and I take up the size again, put it here like that, and I export it again, and now I open it once again. So as soon as I open it, it will be refreshed in Blender. Now it's very little here, so I take and increase the scale to like 3 or something like that. And now you can see that it goes up like a hill like that. Okay? And below it's a hole, which means I have not copied or added something. I have merely moved the vertices up regarding to the blue color I use here. So if I now wanted to move a little bit on the side as well, then I can just use something else. So if I want move it in the y-axis, yeah, well, then I just use green. And this is very simple to remember because Z is blue, X is red, and Y is green. So it's just to remember those. Okay, so we can do like this. I go in here again to my GIMP, hopefully. See what happens here if I can. Okay, take it up here like that. And now I change this to green. Put it somewhere here, change this to 0. Now I'm sure it's green. And I decrease the size a bit. And I put one green like here and one green like that. Can have about the same, something like that. And then I export it again and go back to Blender and take it from here. And now you can see that I put in those two blue things here. What they do is that the first green, the first green is this one. It moves everything in that direction. The second green, it's also moving in that direction. So that one going in here is not the first one that drags it in. It's the second one going in here. So if I want to show it again, I could put this in another way here. And I just take up this again. And I take away them and I add them like this again. One here and one here. Export. Get back to Blender and take this again here. And now you can see here that both of these green is going out here in the Y direction and makes like wings or something like that into to our pattern here. And this is what is new with Blender 2.8, that you can change the direction not only up and down or follow the normal, but also in other direction, like in Y or in X, depending if you use green or if you use red. So in that way you can make everything here. You can make ripples, or you can make this go like a banana or whatever. And that is pretty neat, because that means that you can easily draw whatever you want in GIMP or Photoshop using blue, red and green and some imagination to make this work and to make that happen. And when you then render it, it will be rendered with this displacement on it. When you have drawn it like this, that I have done, you will see that when you do the rendering, you will get small lines on it, like that. You can see it's not so nice, perfect in shape. It's always these two tiny lines here. And that is almost all, yeah, every time you draw something, it's depending on the drawing or 2D draw software, so it will not be that perfect if you don't have a very high resolution image. But we don't depend on using the images all the time. We could create RGB here as well. So if I take this away, now I don't have anything here, but what I can do is that I can do like this. I can go to converter and I can put in a combine RGB into this one here. And if I do that, then I can put in a red, a green, a blue, which in other ways means x-axis, y-axis and z-axis. So if I move the red one, you can see that it's now moving. Let it just finish here. It's the scale here, so I think I will take that down when I do the rest, because a high scale will make it move a little bit more. Okay, so as you can see now, if I look from the top here, it has now moved in the X direction. If I put this to number 1 here, it's a little bit easier to see. You see it's have moved 1 unit. This is 2 units, so 1 unit to the left. If I wanted to move the other way, I just put in -1, -1, like this. Okay, can't do that. Then I do like this. I put 1 here. Let's see if I can. Yeah. I can't change this one because it prevent me from negative numbers, but I can put in a negative number that moves from here in directly to here. So if I use like a multiply here, I can move this to either side like this. And now you see when it has started to calculate, it's rather quick to do the calculation again if you don't change the object. So this is the x-axis, and as I said before, if you use the green, then it's y. So if I change that, I can put this to 1 here. So if I change that, you can see it's going in the y direction. And if I change the blue here, it will of course go up and down like this. So that means that I can put in textures here and make this look very nice. So if I now take the texture that I used before, so I go in texture, Shift A, texture, Voronoi like this, put in the factor into what? To the blue one, yes. Then we get the movement up and down here, and as before. If I wanted to have the other way around, I can just press Shift A again and press math here, put that in, and then put like a multiply, -1, and we have the other direction here. And now you can see I moved it a little bit, but if I put this to 0, it will be correct here. And then I have the mid-level here, as you can see. And I can change that mid-level to a minus or something, so -0.4 or something like that. And now I'm almost back where I was before. Okay, and I can change the scale here, of course. And what will happen now, I can change the render so we can see it here. I go to render, display mode, image editor. It will be a little bit better for me. Go back to my material view, press F12, and now I will see it here. I can also change the display later on here, so I don't use that amount of time just to render it. But as you can see anyway, it's that the lines are not, you cannot see those ugly lines now, because now it's mathematic, it's perfectly calculated, and you will get nice looking shapes here. What will happen if I now change this into a sphere? When you use the old displacement, you could see that it went to like a flower or something. But when you use object space and you use blue, then it's just the z-axis. That means it will not go nicely around the flower that it did before. It will just go up and down. And I will show you a little bit how that works. However, I put that to 50%. It's now finished, and as you can see, it looks really, really nice with the displacement, because now we're not using the images. We are using mathematics to take this out. And as I said, I will now take this object I use here. In that, I will instead put a UV sphere to this one. And we will do as usual. That means that I will put the add modifier, subdivision surface, adaptive. I can put it to simple here as well, and add the material to it, which will be this one. And as I told you, when we are working with the B, it will just be up and down here. So it will not follow around the sphere like it did when I used just the displacement. So vector displacement, object space, is just x, y, or z axis. And that is good sometimes. Other times you want to have like the same functionality and some extra in vector displacement as well. Okay, well, you don't just have object space here, you also have tangent space. And tangent space is another way of calculating where the movement should be, or how the movement should be. So in that, it's not x, y, z. In that one, it's like you have green. Green is offset from normal, which means that it works about the same as the old displacement. Then we have the red, that is offset of tangent. It means that if you have a vertices here, then it will be like moving like a straight line from that vertex up. And then we have a bi-tangent as well, which means that if you have 2 points, it will draw a line between those 2 points, and then it will move along that point or that line. Tangent and bi-tangent, you need to be like a genius to calculate how it will be in your head, but you can play with it and get really nice patterns, and that you can see rather easy. So what I will do now is that I will change this one to the green, And as when I work with object space, the green means the y direction, so my sphere will now be in the y direction. But when I now change object space to tangent space, I get the same flower pattern that I used before when I did my flower. So you can see it's almost the same, because this is how it works. Green is an offset for normal, and we can change the mid-level, and by changing that we can also change how much it affects things here, or where the center are. So if I put that to 0, you will get a round flower, but if I move the center point a bit, you will see it will be moved, and now you have another type of thing here, like a bird nest or something like that. So you can play with the mid-level a little bit as you want to, but if you have it in 0, well, then you have it in the center of the object. So that is green, that is the one. And then I said we have the tangent and we have the other as well, and that could end to very nice looking result. But as I said, you have to be genius to understand how it will work, but you can try it out and you get really nice patterns. And with your imagination, you can certainly find out different ways how to use it. In this way, now we can of course change things here, and then when we change scale and so on, we will change the complexity here. With tangent and bitangent, you doesn't need to have a texture to make it look nice. You just have to change these values as well, because now you can see if I now work with the bitangent here, it like moving the faces a bit, as you can see. So if I put it here, it moves the faces even more and so on, and that can result in really nice pattern. But as I said, it's almost so you have to play with them to understand how they work. So work with tangent and bitangent, and then you can change the mid-level to make these things. I think it works well together with when you should do like scales, or if you should do like where you have layers on layers working with when you're working with the displacement like this. So it's just up to you how you would like to play with it. And as you can see now, I'm not working with any one of these. It's just the mid-level and the tangent that moves these things. So now I have the center point. Now I move the center point a little bit, and now I move it more and more, and that means that it will collapse from the center to something else. So that is a little bit how everything works here. And then you have the basic for generating displacement. The next thing is to color it. As you can see, I prepared a little bit to show you how colors work when working with displacement. So what we have right now, it's a really easy displacement, the old type, so to say, where we just put the Voronoi pattern from the center and outwards from the normal. So we get this. I've changed this to translucent and just added some backlight and some top or area light in the top here, just to make it look a little bit nicer, like this one. So how to color? Well, it's really hard to go the traditional way, since we don't know exactly how everything will look. But with procedural workflow, it's possible to do a lot of things. And I will show you some of these. If we work with a sphere, like we do now, we have different types of nodes we can use. So we start with Shift A and we start with an input ambient occlusion. This one is a new in 2.8, but it works very good when handling colors, because it will have it will work after the change has happened and add some colors around shadows and other colors around those things that not are shadows. So I take that one and I take Shift A and converter, a color ramp, put this in and put the color from this into translucent. And I take this AO here, put that into the factor, and you can see something change here. Now I can put some color on that one, so I can do it like this. And now you can see it's on the outside here, it's rather yellow, and on the inside it's have some other color. So if I can change this one as well, it's easier to see. So now you can see that we can get different types of colors depending on the AO. So if I take that away, you see it's now just purple, but when this one is controlling it, you can get colors like this. And then it's just for you to decide if you just want something at the top that is changing, or if you want more of the flower to be in a purple mode like this, and just make color on certain areas here. So ambient occlusion is a good tool to work with different colors and make everything look very nice when you work with displacement. Another way is also a new node that we can use, and that is something called bevel. So if I go to input again and I put in a bevel node, then I have a normal out, and that could be some trouble to make something useful out of it, because what I would like to do is use bevel to find edges here, to have that in one color, but I can't put normal right into the factor. But with some mathematics I can do it. So I take an input, Shift A and texture coordinate, and I use those two, and then I take Shift A again and I use converter and I use vector math and change this to a cross product, take that from the normal, take that from the normal, and use the value here and put that in here. And I now can, as you can see, now it's following the edges here, and I can decide how much I would like it to follow. So no radio, and then I can add more and more of the edges will be colored using the bevel here. So then I can fine tune it, my colors here, to make it look really nice. Okay, I went through how to do it with the sphere, and now I will change to plane. So Shift A, mesh, and I will take a plane on this one. I will add the subdivision surface, adaptive, simple, put in a material, and now we have this. When working with plane, I can take away this while I talk. When working with plane, what you would like to have in most cases is like a landscape. So you would like some snow at the top, perhaps some, if we call it hills or mountains, and then some brown and grass like green, and in the bottom perhaps some blue ocean or something like that. And how to do that is rather simple. You use the texture coordinate and you take converter here and separate the different axes here. I can put it into object, and then you can put this in here because set is up and down, so here you can have different colors. Now you can see regardless how I change this, it's still just yellow, and the reason for it is that if you look at this original place here, it's below that. So what we need to do is move this up, which we can do with the mid-level here. As you remember, if I take it like that, it's going down, but I could put like minus 1 or something like that, and now you see it changes to red and the yellow is here. So if I take, I don't know, minus 0.5, something like that, now you can see it has a slightly red color up here, and then it's yellow here. So it touches this, and if I go down, it gets more here. You can, of course, fine-tune it, or you can use a converter math here and add or take away things as you like. So if I now want some snow at the top, yeah, well, then I just put white here. Then I would like to have some brown mountains, so I put in some brown here. I would like to have some green here, like grass or something like that, and some blue in the bottom where I then have my ocean. So now I can put something in here, so I have more brown, and then I also could have a sharp line here, so I put in like this. And then it's just, as I said, for me to adjust. So I let the water go down a bit, and then I have the white at the top, I have the brown here, green, and some blue in the end. And then of course I can, if I want to, put in some noise to make it less sharp lines here. So then I just add Shift A, converter, math, where I then add, I will take some other math converter here, where I call this multiply, put this in here, and take like, I don't know, noise texture or something, and put it in here. And now you can see if I use the noise texture, I can then make it go up and down a bit more. So I can take it high up here, and now you see it's almost like real snow going down there. And of course you don't need translucent or diffuse, you can play around so you get that nice looking thing here using principle or whatever, and you control it here. So now you have it like this, with the snow up here, some mountain here, and here you can of course also add some changes of the, but everything I do now is it's just playing around a little bit. So I can put in a mix here and add some more brown in this case, and just put in another type of thing like noise or whatever up here, and at the same way as I control it here, I can just put in like a multiply or whatever, and then control the factor and have some different colors of the things here, so it's not just one brown, it's different types. Or you can do it, yeah, in any way you want. It's just to play around. But the major thing is to put this in here, and then you can use that as to feel the height of your displacement like this. So that is basically how you do it, and then it's just up to you how to create all these materials. But where to place them, it's just to do like this. Okay, I hope you learned something even this time, and if you like what you've seen, then it's just to subscribe, and then we see you next time.